My name's Keith, and I'm the Dungeon Master for the Fire and Dice crew. And welcome to a new series I like to call the DM's Guild, where basically we're just going to go ahead and discuss tips and strategies on how to run the game of Dungeons and Dragons. So this first episode we're going to start off with this right here, the DM screen. And what the hell exactly goes on back there? Because I'm sure a lot of people want to know. And I'm sure there's a lot of different ways that people set up for a campaign. So if you have a few minutes, come on around, pull up a chair, and I'll give you a tour of how I set up to run a campaign. Alright everybody, welcome to my domain where I like to say the magic happens. Anyways, let's go ahead and go over what I have back here and exactly what I use it for. So first and foremost, we'll start off with the DM screen, which I think pretty much everybody uses. And I do use the standard Dungeons and Dragons one that probably everybody has. It does have a lot of good basic information on it. It has what you can do on a turn, all your actions, all the conditions. It's got setting and tracking DCs, things that you can purchase such as ale, food, and lodgings. It's got the skills and their associated abilities, so DMs can take a look at that as a quick reference guide instead of having to go to the books. Now it doesn't have everything that you'll use, especially because different DMs, you may play different styles. So I went ahead and went on the internet and just printed out a couple of additional things, cut them out, and taped them up on my board for useful information. Some things like concentration check DCs. I also have all the potions of healing, how much they cost, and how much each one of them heal, because those are things that I don't always remember off the top of my head. And you can print out pretty much anything and put it up there, whatever you feel is going to be necessary for your game that you're running. Next, let's go over a few of the other common things that you're going to have behind your DM screen. Dice, and plenty of them as a DM. You're going to need, obviously, at least one, I say multiple full sets back here, and additional D6s, because as everybody knows, the D6 is one of the more common dice that you roll, especially for damage. So you want to make sure you have plenty of those. The next thing is going to be miniatures. Anybody that plays 5e knows that miniatures, especially in combat, is pretty much a requirement. Anybody that can run a battle without miniatures, hats off to you, because that's very difficult to do. So I like to go ahead and have a bunch of miniatures out based on what I'm running that night and what I expect the party to run into. Now you're going to always have those things that come up, possibly like random encounters, so I do keep a case down at my side in case something like that comes up and I don't have a miniature to fit. Alright, so next, these, and this is something that I got from a friend, and it's just basically the bottle caps. You can pull them off any bottle, and I use them for conditions. If they're blinded, deafened, invisible, petrified, whatever the condition may be, you go ahead and take one of these, put it over the player, and there you go, this guy's poisoned. That way you can keep track of it much easier, and this is a cheap way to do it as opposed to buying them. They do have some that you can buy, but this is just a very cheap, easy way. I got these from people at work, and I just had them collect them for me. So that was nice and easy. The next thing I have is good old Fred here, who is no longer with us. He holds all our writing utensils, pencils. Everybody's going to be using pencils typically, especially if you have your character sheet printed out just to make updates and changes. Players like to take notes. I actually like to take my notes with an ink pen, so I keep plenty of those on the table. The third thing I have in here is wet erase markers. We use these on the map. They also use this for our initiative chart, which I'll bring out next. We use a wet erase initiative chart that my brother actually keeps track of. So he'll go ahead and get everybody's initiative out, he'll write it up there on the board, and it's an easy way to track it. And we actually have that sitting facing the players, so everybody knows when it's their turn, and there's less wasted time because they can prep for what they're going to do, and they know when they're up, and then they can plan ahead on what they're going to do on their turn. Let's see, what else do we have back here? This. So this is a timer. This is something that is great to use when you want to cause a sense of urgency or distress to the party, make them feel like they have limited time, especially when they need to make a quick decision. This is perfect because it makes them think, okay, we've got to get this decision made. And I timed this, and this is about 4.5 minutes or so, and you can use a phone or a watch or whatever you want, but I use this because I like the ambiance it brings to the table. Next, I have my notes, and this is a very important thing to have. obviously at the table. This is where I keep all my session notes, all my homebrew notes, and basically if I'm running a one-shot or a pre-written module, I'm going to always have additional notes in here. I also have maps. As you can see, I have a land map, I have a map to a mine, I have maps to villages. Over here, I actually keep tabs on everything. So this is my homebrew content, and I put a tab on every village, every city, every mine, everything that I have in there. That way it's easy for me to keep it organized and find exactly what I'm doing. If I need to get them to Briar Glen, I just go right to the tab for Briar Glen. So this is a very useful tool, very well organized. I also have additional things in here, such as store supplies. Anything you can buy in the player's handbook as a regular supply, it's in here. It's a quick reference for me, so I don't have to go sifting through the books. I also have the standard exchange rates for coins, and I also have actually names for NPCs. If the party just decides to say, hey, we want to go up to this random door, knock on it and see who's there, and it's not an NPC you obviously have prepared, instead of off the top of your head, Bob lives there, Bob answers the door. You have a list of NPC names that you can use. So I organize it by race too: elves, dwarves, humans, orcs, whatever case you may need, it's there and ready available. I also have a list of random encounters in here. The last thing I have in here is actually just a regular notebook. And this, I track all the damage that's done to the monsters during combat. I also track the kills. I like to give a little extra experience to the players for actual kill shots. I know not everybody does that, but it's a fun little thing I like to do. I also will keep track of any heroic or creative things that the players do at the table, and that way at the end I can also reward them additional experience for that. And the last thing I use this for is just taking notes. You're going to always want to take notes, especially in a long-going campaign. That way you can go back to the notes and see where you left off in the last session, or I use it to take those notes and transfer it into my main story for things that they have changed along the way, or created new stories off of. I can then transfer them into my full notebook. So this is a very important tool that I really couldn't do much without. The last thing I have at the table is the source books, or basically information for sources. So I have the player's handbook, I have the DM guide, I have Ravnica, Volos, Xanthars, all the guys that I own, I have at my disposal right next to me in case we do need to use the books. I mean, let's face it, they are the source books, they are a good reference, so you can find any information you want in those books. And then also, as far as information and sources, I keep my cell phone. It's quick and easy. People have different websites that they enjoy going to, D&D Beyond, Reddit, whatever the case may be. And also I have right here, I like to keep my laptop. As you can see, I have D&D Beyond up right now. I have everybody that's in our campaign in there, so I can look up quick information. If any of them have questions or need something, maybe some of the newer players need something explained on their character, I can go and read through it and help them figure it out. Also, the main use I have for my laptop is music, and that sets the tone. So I like to have this set up and playing tavern music when everybody's coming in before we even get started, just to kind of set the tone and get everybody into the mood for the session that night. And then of course I have a list of music that I play for combats, for villages, for taverns, for traveling music. I even had just a heavy rain soundtrack playing when they were traveling through the rain at night one time, and it was actually a little bit of an extended travel, so that helped set the tone of that cold, wet rain. So music is a great tool at the table to just help set the tone, set the mood. So that's basically everything I have at my table. I'd love to see people go ahead and comment below on what you may have, or any suggestions that you have of things that I could use that maybe I didn't think of. Go ahead and share those. I'd love to see them. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and smash that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and stick around. We're going to have more videos coming to you, especially these DM tips and some of the other stuff that we have. So, all right, I'll see y'all later.